In Ukraine, a Russian missile attack killed at least 2 people and injured 8 on Saturday when falling debris caused a fire at an apartment building in the capital, Kyiv. This as Ukraine says it continues to make slow progress in its counteroffensive against Russia in the east. More than 20 missiles were reportedly detected and destroyed during the overnight attack. The upper floors of the 24-story building and the parking lot were strewn with ash and debris. Sergei Popko, head of the capital's military administration, said about 40 cars were damaged in an adjacent car park. Popko said anti-aircraft units fought back and shot down dozens of missiles. Secretary for Transport and Logistics Lam Sai-hung said he's been paying close attention to the incident, while some aviation experts believe it was the right call to abort the flight.
Actually, the captain, they can make the decisions, and they know very well what are the situations of the aircraft. Like, for example, for these cases, there's some failures of the sensors. Then he make the decisions. The passenger must be evacuated as soon as possible. Then this is the best option at that moment. The captain and also the pilot shows his professionalism.
Ng added that the reason passengers were evacuated via emergency slides was because there was a risk of fire. If the loose components were to struck the wings, it could lead to a potential gas leak, he said. Yang Tiliang, the first ethnic Chinese to serve as Hong Kong's Chief Justice before 1997, died at the age of 93 today. Born in Shanghai in 1929, Yang moved to Hong Kong during his secondary school years before studying law in England in the 1950s. In 1956, Yang returned to Hong Kong and joined the judicial service as a magistrate. In 1975, Yang handled one of the city's biggest legal cases, the corruption trial of Peter Godber, the chief superintendent of the Royal Hong Kong Police Force. Yang was a candidate in the first Hong Kong chief executive election in 1996. He was defeated by Chung Chi-hwa, but later served as an executive council member. Welcome back to TVB News. After a 4-year hiatus, the Hong Kong International Dragon Boat Races returned to Victoria Harbour today. Memo Sangai was at the Tsim Sha Tsui East Promenade this morning.
Early Saturday morning, the 2-day International Dragon Boat Races got underway in Victoria Harbour. Over 160 teams from 10 countries and regions participated, including Poland, Australia, the Philippines, and the mainland. Poland has not competed in the event before. This paddler talked about the challenge the team had to face during the first race.
It was very good, but it was a surprise for us because it's stormy water here, so we doesn't like it. We have many places to train on smooth water without any waves like here, so it's a big difference.
For Australian paddlers, racing in Hong Kong is not an unfamiliar experience.
It's a great competition to be a part of, especially since we hadn't had this opportunity for the last 4 years with COVID and all that happening. So yeah, it's great to be back. I can't think of a better way to celebrate the Dragon Boat Festival than here in Hong Kong.
Meanwhile, local athletes say they have confidence of winning the races due to their thorough preparation, including practicing in choppy waters that are similar to the Victoria Harbour.
Despite the cloudy and windy weather, many tourists and residents still came to the International Dragon Boat Races to take in the action and enjoy the atmosphere.
Dragon Boat Races, so now it's really exciting, and I'm very happy to be back, and I'm very happy to be back at this time. I was here when I was a child, but I've never watched it properly.
To get the party started, some restaurants near the promenade were offering buy one get one free beers. Memos 9, TVB News.
Chief Executive John Lee posted on social media in commemoration of his first year as the city's leader. Lee's office uploaded a clip of him exercising at the peak on Wednesday and shared details of his first year in office. Li said he made some key decisions in the past year which were very meaningful and had impacted a lot of people. He added that the experience has taught him to consider all factors when doing policy research. Li said one of the most encouraging things to happen this past year is seeing Hong Kong emerge again from the pandemic. He described the city as being on a fast track as it returns to normalcy. Recently, a series of violent acts have shocked the city. Commissioner of Police Raymond Siu said he has followed instructions from Chief Executive John Lee to step up patrols, including deploying Marine Police to conduct high-profile patrolling on land. Veronica Lin reports.
This morning, the Hong Kong Police College held a passing out parade, which saw 32 probationary inspectors and 110 recruit police constables graduate. The parade was inspected by Albert Yuan, Deputy Commissioner of Police, who is due to retire in August. Also present was Raymond Siu, Commissioner of Police, who was optimistic about this year's recruitment work, which saw over 100 mainland students pass the selection process. They will be joining the force as early as July. While acknowledging the string of violent acts over the past few months, Siu said in the first 5 months of this year, the number of serious assault and violent cases have dropped by more than 10% compared with the same period in 2019. He said the series of events have been disturbing and unsettling, but said he has stepped up patrols as requested by the chief executive. Siu said the force has reallocated manpower, including mobilizing logistics officers and plainclothes officers to shopping malls or wherever there's dense population. They've conducted more stop and search, he said. Siu added that Marine Police will also conduct high-profile patrolling on land. He also encouraged residents to report any suspicious acts. Next week is the July 1st handover anniversary, and police have received a request to hold a car parade. Siu said they are doing a comprehensive review and will later determine whether to issue a letter of no objection. Veronica Lin, TVB News.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrapped up a 4-day state visit in the U.S. with focus on business and innovation. Both Modi and President Joe Biden spoke of what the countries can achieve together. David Garrett reports.
After a lavish state dinner the night before, US President Joe Biden and Indian Prime Minister Modi met with some business leaders.
Technology is going to transform the lives of our people around the world.
Sitting around a long table in Washington, tech giants Apple, Google and Microsoft, and the two leaders who spoke about the handshake of innovation.
We need your help, and I'm talking to the CEOs around this table, Indian and American. We need your help to seize the moment, to help manage the risk to our societies, our economies, and to our nation's national security. We need your help to build guardrails around emerging technologies so that they're trustworthy.
Micron Technologies agreed to build a $2.75 billion semiconductor and test facility in India.
This morning is with us, giving us a guarantee for a bright future. And this is a very small group of people, but this is a very promising group, a wonderful group, and one which is going to give a direction to the world, which is going to build the future of the world.
Business leaders see massive potential and profits in India.
Very interesting, helping create more jobs, helping digitize more small and medium-sized businesses, and then helping more Indian companies and products be able to be exported all around the world.
There is a giant domestic market that needs to be satisfied. Airport development is now moving at a pace that the country's never seen before.
Modi later attended a lunch with US Vice President Kamala Harris and Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Harris has Indian ancestry and made many trips there with her mother. Harris raised a glass to her heritage.
I recall my grandfather teaching me lessons about not just what it means to have a democracy, but to keep a democracy. And I do believe it is these lessons that I learned at a very young age that first inspired my interest in public service.
Modi finished the 4-day trip by meeting members of the Indian diaspora, where he was given almost a hero's farewell as the audience chanted his name. David Garrett, TVB News.
U.S. intelligence agencies found no direct evidence that the COVID-19 pandemic stemmed from China's Wuhan Institute of Virology, according to a declassified report released on Friday. The report was issued at the behest of Congress, which in March passed a bill giving U.S. intelligence 90 days to declassify intelligence related to Wuhan Institute of Virology. The report could not rule out the possibility that the virus came from a laboratory. And although the laboratory in Wuhan had conducted extensive work on coronaviruses, there was no evidence of a specific incident that could have caused the outbreak. Mobile phones have become so much a part of humankind's culture and history, they have earned a place at the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History in Washington. NBC with the story.
Used to call me on my cell phone.
The cell phone is part of our culture.
Oh, who's calling? Zach Morris.
And now?
We are calling it iPhone.
Part of our history, literally.
The Natural History Museum has dinosaur bones and rare jewels and ancient artifacts. And now the cell phone? How does that fit?
Right. So the mission of natural history is to understand nature and our place in it. Thinking about the 21st century and the human experience in this present moment, the cell phone presents a fantastic opportunity to think about that.
Dr. Joshua Bell's the curator of this first-of-its-kind exhibit at the Smithsonian's National Museum of Natural History, open to all ages, but aimed at a younger audience that might not recognize this. 750 items from more than 30 countries, from the first ever mobile model, it weighs 2 pounds, to classics like the Razor and this old Nokia.
It really is my first cell phone. And then the BlackBerry.
Wait, that is literally your first cell phone?
It is.
Yes, there are elements of nostalgia, but also elements, like from the periodic table. 65 of them that make up the average smartphone, represented here in dozens of minerals.
You have elements here from Madagascar, from Alaska.
It goes back to this tagline that when you hold the cell phone, you hold the world in your hand, right? Both literally and figuratively.
It's a showcase for cellular science and the people behind it all. The hope, it's an inspiration for the next generation.
Everyone is part of the story of the cell phone.
And an education, helping us all feel a little more connected.
He gave me a C-.
And a little less clueless. Hallie Jackson, NBC News, Washington.
That's the news. Thanks for watching.